there wasn't like an end goal. Like if there wasn't I want to be where I'm at now when I started making videos. It was just, I like making content. And I had a girlfriend at the time, and she would always ask me, she's like, what's the point of what you're doing? Like, not like in a negative way, but she's like, what is your goal? Like, why are you doing all this? And I just said, I remember very specifically, I was like, I don't know what the end goal is, but I think that this is the path how I get there. And I didn't have an answer for myself. So there wasn't like a clear cut path.
And welcome to the One Shot Podcast. We are here with Maxx Chewning, and I'm going to give a formal intro here in a second. But Max, what's going on, man? Glad to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here, guys.
So Maxx is an interesting story, and we're obviously going to dive into that story. But the reason we reached out to Maxx is, you know, the idea with this new name of One Shot is talking to interesting people, talking to people who are taking full advantage of this one opportunity at life that we all have. And I can't think of a better example of that than Maxx. Maxx is somebody who in 2011 decided to stick a camera in his face, and it's led him through the years into some amazing things that he's done. It's led him to eventually start a couple of businesses as well. One of them is Sour Strips Candy, which we're munching on right now.
Yeah.
Which is delicious, by the way.
You're knocking all the entire damn bag back. Save some for your boy.
Yeah. One does not simply have one piece.
No, you can't. It's one bag at a time.
It has the resealable package, but that was for the small percentage of who don't just destroy a bag in one sitting.
I just cut off the very top. I don't even need the reseal. So, and then the other brand is a fashion line, Ever Forward, which is a great brand as well. So definitely going to dig into all that. You're proving, especially in this day and age, that there's just so many different ways to go about this thing. There is no box anymore. You can pursue so many different paths, and I'm super excited.
So true. That is so true what you just said right there, because in the past, and I'm the old man within this conversation right now.
Hey, I'm getting up there, man.
Yeah, but we've always come up a certain way. You got to work hard. You got to grind. You got to, wake up early in the morning and blah, blah, blah. Look, man, everyone has their own journey and has their own way of going about things. It's all about maximizing that time and whatever passion you have. And Max, that's why we want to get into this story, man. So we actually want to go back and talk about your childhood, where you grew up, brothers, sisters, mom and dad. What was the household like when you were growing up?
So I actually come from, I lived in Virginia all my life up until about 3 years ago. I moved here to right outside of Houston, Texas. And I started in Southern Virginia, a little town called Roanoke. And it was, I refer it to as like the boonies, like the redneck type of area. It's just a very small town. We lived in the middle of like hundreds of acres of land. And, my days were spent running through the woods with my brother and my dogs and just playing outside in the river, the trees, building it was like truly outside. We didn't even have cable television at our house. We had to go to our grandma's house. We wanted to watch like the satellite dish. Right. So I grew up with my dad and my stepmom for most of my childhood. And then progressively, as I got older, I kind of just kept moving more north in Virginia. So I went to live with my mom when I was about 10 years old, and she was up in Richmond, Virginia, or outside of Richmond, that's where I kind of stayed for a long period of time. So I have a brother, I have a sister. I'm the youngest child. I'm 32. I have a little bit older sister, is 34. My brother is 36. Actually, everyone's kind of now in their entrepreneurial kind of journey, figuring out what they want to do, kind of trying to make their own way, which is super cool to have a family filled with people. My dad was he was in the military for a long, long time. Actually, like every man in my family on my dad's side was in the military, and I was the person that stopped that. My brother was in the military, my dad, my granddad, my great granddad, and it just wasn't for me. And then when he got out of the military, then he started opening like coffee houses, and he even owned like a little steakhouse and started doing real estate and got very in kind of the entrepreneurial mindset, which I think is where a lot of my motivation comes, thinking back to that. He later passed away in 2005 from ALS, which was a a terrible time to go through. And when I was younger, I didn't really kind of comprehend. I was 15 at the time that, my dad was kind of losing my dad. And so I lived with my mom for the later portion of my life from about 10. Then, the rest is kind of history. Went to college because, again, I grew up. I'm now to the age where I can say, like, times were different. Back in my day, it was different. The social media thing wasn't. People didn't start businesses. It was you go to high school, you go to college, you get a job. My goal was to have like a briefcase with a corner window and a someone that I could be like, cancel my meetings. So that was like my goal. But I went to college, went to Virginia Commonwealth University ended up getting my degree there, and in business administration management, which a lot of people are like, oh, that makes sense. You went to business school. And I'm like, I don't remember anything from school. I just learned enough in college to pass the class. And then as soon as I passed the class, I was like, done. Don't need that information ever again. So
welcome to my world. Yeah.
And that's what I was saying earlier, because you and I are around the same age, and you're right. Like growing up, it was, you follow this structure, you follow this plan, you make your good grades, you grow up, you stay, in line, you go to college for your 4 years, you get a job, you have a family, you retire, and that's what life is.
What's crazy is in our times, it was really, if you didn't go to college, people almost kind of looked at you as, I'd even say like a loser or like someone who like wasn't going to make it. Like, the college I ended up applying to and getting into, or eventually graduating from, VCU, it was my best friends who were a grade above me. That's the college they went to, which was only like 20 minutes away from my hometown. It was downtown in Richmond. So it was a great school that I wanted to go to. And that was the only school I applied to, and I got denied from it because, if you can tell in my YouTube videos, I just like to run my mouth, and I had like a it became my greatest asset. But throughout high school, I had like a 2.7, I think, GPA, maybe even a little lower, because I was getting C's in gym class and everything for just running my mouth. Like I never got into drugs, never got into fights or anything in school. I was always just getting suspended or in school suspension for running my mouth, trying to be the class clown. And I applied to VCU, got denied from it, and I thought, I was like, everyone's going to make fun of me because I had to go to community college. When you get older, you realize how smart community college is, but when you're younger, it's like the worst thing ever. And so I had to go to community college, but it really worked out because the campus they had was 1 mile from the school downtown. So I still got to move downtown with my friends. So I had the exact same experience that anyone would have had in college. I just didn't have to go to a dorm, and my college bills were a lot cheaper, and it was easier. And it was easier for the transitional period of going into the 4 year. So
Yeah, you're not saddled with debt,
then it was, you had to go to college or else you were looked at as like the weirdo, the outcast. Nowadays, nowadays it's almost, if you go to college, now you're like the outcast. Like, what do you mean you're going to college? Don't you realize the internet exists?
And that's what I was going to say. I can remember my parents when I was a senior in high school, talking about, going to college. And I remember they said, you don't have to go to school. You don't have to go to college. And I remember thinking that is, whoa, no. Only losers don't go to college.
It's like, what will I do with my time if I don't do that?
Right. So that was, so you're right. So back then it was like, that was a weird thing to suggest that you wouldn't go to school. Now, to your point, you're almost weird for going to school. But I do want to dig back into you growing up, because I think anybody who owns or runs a business knows how difficult it is, let alone you're doing two of them at one time. Was there anything growing up that indicated that this is something that you wanted to do one day? I mean, did you have an entrepreneurial spirit as a kid?
I guess I never like looked back. You watch a lot of, Gary V videos or something, and they're saying like, when I was in school, I was selling bubble gum, I was doing those things. And it made me kind of go back into my memory and realize that I did do a lot of these things. I was really into skateboarding when I was a kid, and I actually got into videography from skateboarding because we wanted these, it's called a Sony VX1000. It was like the creme de la creme of skateboarding cameras. It is what everyone had. And I had to save a bunch of money. So what I started doing is I started looking around the house and selling things on eBay. And I started, that was where I first started, like, I guess, arbitrage of just finding things that I didn't need anymore, selling it for more money, learning that. I used to buy, it was generally like girls in my school, whatever. Back then, like when you cracked your phone or something, it wasn't so common to just go get a new screen or something. It was like this whole thing. If someone cracked their screen, they're like, I gotta go get a whole new phone.
Oh, right.
And I would buy their cracked phones for like $50. They're like, what are you gonna do with it? I was like, I don't know, just if you I'll buy it $50. And then I would sell it on eBay for like $150 because people would buy these cracked ones, refurbish them. Then I got really into working. I'm still obsessed with Jeeps. So I love the whole Jeep brand. It was my first car. I got obsessed with building them up into these like off-road monsters, rock crawling, just huge vehicles, which I still have one to this day. And I just a diehard Jeep fan. And when I was younger, I got taught by my friends how to like weld and fabricate and bend metal with like tube bender and, you know, fabrication. Right. And when I started, as much as I document my life now, I actually documented my life on these Jeep forums. So every single thing that I did, I would take a picture of it. And I had like 100-page, they were called build threads of everything you did. And at some point, people were like, hey, I really like these tube doors that you made for your Jeep. Or I really like this roof rack. Can you do that for me? And I was like, sure. And I would start building these things and selling them. And I wanted to create this business called Mad Max Off-Road Custom. And I even had like little logos made up. And then I just realized that I only like making stuff for myself rather than mass producing things. But I guess that was really the earliest phase of people like, hey, if you do this thing, I'll give you money for it. And I was like, okay. And I just kind of did it on the side. And, but then it didn't process to me as like, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business, because that wasn't the mindset. It was just, I like making these things. I'll make it for other people and charge them a fair amount of money. And I wasn't even making a lot, to be honest. So
you made mention earlier that your father had an entrepreneurial spirit, and he was into real estate and all. What did he teach you? And let me go back here as well. Did your mother and father go through a separation when you were in an early age?
Very early. I think I was still a baby. I don't even remember. I never remember ever my mom and my dad being together. I'd say, I think maybe when I was like 2, they split up. But they kept a great relationship. And then my dad remarried and my mom just now is remarried. But yeah, I guess, it's hard to remember. It's hard to remember a lot of the kind of the life lessons that my dad taught me. I remember like key points in there. Again, when he passed when I was 15, it's like, I remember a lot of things from my childhood, but it's so hard to capture a lot of these memories that I had with my dad, besides just take me to the skate park, to, teach me how to, I was in the coffee shops, like tearing up the tiles with him. And I was, helping him do whatever I could to build these things. But I guess I don't really have any, knowledge that he instilled besides hard work and being a good person. That's the biggest thing that I, kind of take away from him, because he kind of radiated this positive personality and made people smile and was just like an honest man. And that's what I try to do in my life as much as I can. So
yeah. I mean, I'd say if he only passed on 2 things, those are 2 pretty good things to pass on.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So you mentioned your older brother and an older sister. How close were you guys growing up?
I'm very close to both my siblings, probably closer with my brother. We grew up together for the first like 10 years, but it's kind of a weird world I lived in. My brother and myself lived together my childhood, and my sister lived with my mom. And then just every, once a month or twice a month, they would meet up and we'd like swap kids and stuff like that for like the weekend or something, shared custody kind of thing. So I'd see my sister very, very frequently, like every month, growing up, or she'd come for like a week at a time, or I'd go there. It was like this whole swap thing. And then I moved with my sister, but then my sister moved back with my dad's household. I don't want to call it it was a more, you're going to follow these rules, you're going to be very strict. Right. And my mom, I guess in the city it wasn't that she was like, let you do whatever you want, but I guess she wasn't as strict with discipline in a sense, I guess. You
weren't taking ass whoopings at your mom's house. That's what you want to say, right?
If I talked back to my dad, I'm getting the belt in the back of my butt, and so my sister kind of went through a rebellious period, and they thought it was best that she moved with my dad. And then it ended up just being me with my mom. And then my brother went to the military for a long period of time. So yeah, it was like me and my brother were always together, and then I was by myself. And then now now we're grown up and we try to see each other as much as we can during holidays. I actually drove home 20 hours to Virginia so I could take my golden doodle, and then my entire family, my brother who lives in California, my sister lives in another part of Virginia, all got COVID. No one could show up. So I drove like 20 hours to, hang out with my mom, which I loved. But I was like, the whole family's going to be there. I'm bringing my dog. No one showed up.
Yeah. Maybe did you vlog at least? Did you vlog the trip to get some out of it?
Good videos.
Okay, good.
That's the silver lining to any situation. Any bad thing I go through, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a great title and thumbnail.
And we're going to get into that later because that's fascinating to me, the whole title, thumbnail, YouTube creation. But growing up, what about sports? Because I believe your vlog started as a fitness channel, correct?
I'm still very much in the fitness industry, but as much as it blows a lot of people's minds, I do not personally watch any sports. I've never been into watching sports. I played like little peewee here and there. I never played football, but I tried out like soccer, tried out machine pitch baseball. But really what I started doing that I found I thought I was good at was wrestling. I wrestled from like 6th grade to 9th grade, was varsity in 9th grade, but then I got a job when I was 15 and decided that I'd rather make money than try to pursue wrestling. But I was good at wrestling. I was in the featherweight. I was like 9th grade, I was 112 pounds. Sixth grade, I wrestled at 65 pounds. I was a twig. I've always had it. I know. But I never, it's weird actually, my brother as well, we just never got into sports, which is strange because my mom, by the way, Darren, is huge Cowboys fan, biggest Cowboys fan in the world. I actually took her one of her dreams was I took her to the Thanksgiving Day game when they played the Redskins like 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh yeah.
We flew out to Dallas and she had a blast and the Cowboys won. It was like a great thing. My stepdad's a huge Redskins fan. So it worked out.
Yeah. I'm trying to I'm figuring out what happened now,
I don't know.
Marriage,
my dad was a huge Cowboys fan, loved watching like NASCAR and all this stuff, typical like Virginia things, but I just never really got into it. I don't know. I loved skateboarding. I love like, I guess more extreme sports type of things, snowboarding, skateboarding. But I never, so it's weird that I was so don't care about sports. And then for the longest period of time, I never cared about fitness at all. I didn't start working out until my sophomore year of college. And I had to get convinced by my roommates to work out.
Who was the girl?
Yeah. What's crazy is it's funny you mention that because at first when I went into college in 9th grade, we all had this townhome together and all my roommates would work out and I would just think they're dumb. I'm like, what do you mean you work out? I was like, I already have a girlfriend. I was like, well, why do I need to work out? And I just wanted to play Call of Duty and drink like regular Pepsi and eat sour straws like all day. That's all I wanted to do. And then they would go work out. I'd call them idiots for doing that. And then I remember sophomore year, my roommate came down and he's like, all right, we're signing this new lease. I was newly single. And he's like, Max, you're skinny and pathetic. He's like, I'm kind of fat. He's like, let's go to because the gym was like it's like 400 feet from our park or our place. It was like a Gold's Gym and started working out. And it's so funny because, you see these newbie gains and you think you're just a monster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I remember I put on this like tank top and I went to the Mexican restaurant with like my arms showing and I thought I was a actual monster after like 3 months of working out. And my roommate, when we would try to, he was very knowledgeable about lifting because he played a lot of football and weightlifting and stuff in high school. And I remember I would go like halfway down the bench and he would yell at me and I was like, what's the point? I don't care. I don't need to go all the way down. And I was the last person on this planet that you would think would make his life revolve around fitness and start my journey with fitness. And it's a wild. Every time I ask him, he's like, Max, I would have bet my entire life savings that like, there's no way that fitness would have been your future ever.
All right, we're going to take a quick break from the episode and recognize an opportunity that we all have. If you are having a hard week or you just need some R&R, here's what you got to do is you got to drive up 75 north, cross the Red River to Durant, Oklahoma, to Choctaw Casino and Resort. It is the best getaway that you can get if you're in the Dallas area by far. And guess what? If you're listening from somewhere outside of DFW, say you're in South Texas or you're in another state, which we've got some listeners in other states, fly into Dallas, drive up. It is worth every penny. You don't have to go to Vegas anymore to have a world-class experience at a world-class resort and casino.
Yeah, we talk about the restaurants that are up there, those steakhouses. We talk about the concert venue. We had a conversation with Aaron Watson previously, and he talked about the intimacy every single seat in that concert venue is right on top. And there's not a bad seat in the house.
There's not.
And so these artists talk about it's one of the best places to play. And so go check out yourself a concert at the Spa, the brand new expansion. I mean, it's just such a good time. To your point, Tyler, if you need a break, things are getting crazy, times are tough, get up there, get up to Choctaw Casino Resort, have yourself a great time. We experience it. We love it. They're doing great things in the community. Can't say enough good things, and we're so grateful for their partnership. That's Choctaw Casino Resort. Go check them out. Now back to the episode. That's the wild thing is, like, for whatever reason, you know, you got into the gym that day. Was it the draw? Was it those initial
100%
changes in your appearance that got you hooked?
I feel like anyone with any sort of fitness, doesn't have to be the bodybuilding, powerlifting, CrossFit, whatever. It's when you start seeing changes in your body, your physique, or how you feel, whether it be your energy, your confidence. It's almost like, why would I ever go back to my old self? Why would I ever want to not have this type of rush that I get, whether you're chasing the pump or you're seeing yourself look a lot bigger, even though you're seeing, you know, the Hulk in the mirror, but you're still a twig, like you're seeing these changes, your shirt's starting to get a little tighter. And it's just, I loved it. And it really did change my life. And it was starting working out, even though I was late to the game, was just the best thing that's ever come into my life. And now it's on some sort of level of fitness. I obviously feel that everyone should do some sort of physical fitness, because it's amazing. Like once you start, you'll just never stop. This isn't getting out of my life. Well,
so let's get into that, right? So you're in school, you just discovered weightlifting for the first time. What possessed you to think, all right, I'm gonna stick a camera in my face and I'm gonna start documenting this experience?
Well, so yeah, I guess I used to watch a lot of the people that I'm not only best friends with now, or now kind of stopped making videos, but I used to watch a lot of, we call them like the OG fitness YouTubers back in my day when social media really first started, right? Because I got in at a good time. If I tried to get in now, I would not have luck, to be honest. And I got in when there was truly like a fitness community, right? So all these fitness YouTubers, we called them, that everyone would upload videos. There was about 10 different people that made them. There wasn't a million of them. Everyone who uploaded videos, everyone would watch each other's videos, comment on each other's videos. It was like this community. Every time someone uploaded, everyone would watch. And I started watching a lot of these people online, and I became kind of fascinated by it. And then someone that I watched, his name is Nick Wright, who was from Rhode Island. He broke up with his girlfriend, and he had a cousin who went to the school that I did. And he made a tweet and said, "Hey, for the summer, I'm moving down to Richmond, Virginia. Are there any gyms to train at?" And I tweeted back at him and I said, "Hey, I go to VCU, or I train at VCU gym, and like we should work out together. Be cool." And you know, back then it was really normal if someone, like a random person, messaged you, they'd be like, "Okay, sure, I'll meet up with you and work out." Where now you kind of got to go through a vetting process to make sure people aren't kind of like, you know, strange. But we met up, and and back then he had 30,000 YouTube subscribers, which at the time, I mean, it's still impressive. It was mind blowing. And you weren't making money from it. Like he was sustaining himself, but he wasn't making any astronomical money at all. And I started being on his videos because the thing that helped me, or that blew me up on social at the time, was not looking like I lift, but I could lift a lot of weight. And my forte became my deadlift. And it was just a lift that I started increasing the amount of weight and like the strength on it just at a rapid pace when I started doing it. And because I started enjoying it, I just kept being obsessed with it. And when I started being in his videos, and then people like really liked me in the videos, and my friend was like, "You should start a channel as well." And I was like, okay. So then I just filmed, but then it was extremely strange for people to, now it's still strange. Maybe people are filming themselves, right? But then it was unheard of. And then it wasn't so much of the vlog your life type of thing. It was, people wanted about 5 to 7 minute videos strictly on fitness, whether it be, what are my thoughts on creatine? I'd sit down and talk about creatine, or it's, hey, here's my shoulder workout, a voiceover. Here's 6 minutes of footage in the gym. Here's my voiceover of what I did. And that's the whole video. Simpler times. And I used to go to parties and stuff in college, and people would, you know, make fun of me because they're like, oh, like Max, you filming yourself doing like bicep curls in the gym. I would show I'd do physique updates, and they'd be like, you're half naked in your bedroom when I'm just wearing shorts, like flexing on camera, and I'd get a lot of ridicule. But I guess I just really liked it because the first thing that I ever did was I made this video reviewing this. It's called an Inzer belt. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's like a lever belt, big in like the powerlifting world. And I remember before I bought this belt, I watched a review video on it. And then when I got it, I was like, hey, maybe people would like my review on it because the reason I bought it was because someone else was reviewing. Maybe I have different thoughts on it. And that was the first video that I really made of me sitting down and just talking. It's still on my channel. It's like one of the first ones that I made. And yeah, the rest is kind of history. Before that, I uploaded just like a PR on the thing on my YouTube, but it wasn't until that video that I started making consistent videos.
That is really interesting. Listen, I'm listening to your story. You're in college, right? You're a sophomore in college at this time, or junior in college?
No, I actually my YouTube journey started right when I graduated.
Yeah,
like right when I graduated, which is 2013.
Which means
that was when I truly started making videos.
So you're 22, 23 years old about that time, and you're dealing with the negativity and all the fallout and people that are trying to making fun of you and whatnot, and you just don't give a damn.
I didn't, and it wasn't as accepted, and that was right when I graduated. So for the first 3 years of my social media journey, I also worked a corporate job.
That's what I was going to ask, is what you did for, because you said you didn't make any money early on. So what did you do for a living?
It took me, nowadays people do the renegade on TikTok and then they start making millions a month, right? But when I started, it wasn't, because I guess you didn't even comprehend that you could turn it into a full-time thing. No one started the content for the most part thinking that I'm going to blow up, I'm going to make all this money. It was like, you heard of some people doing kind of well. You were just kind of like, if I can make some extra money, that's super cool. But you made content because you enjoyed making content. You got this rush of the comments and and growing your channel and stuff. But for the first like really 2 years, I'm talking maybe $300 a month, like $100 to $300 a month. And you would get a static if you landed a sponsorship that would just give you like $50 worth of free protein a month or something, and you'd have to blast their logo all over your channel, and you were doing all this promotion for them for a tub of pre-workout or something. and it was just like life-changing. And so I worked as a technical recruiter, like IT staffing, for the first 3 years while I was just still obsessed. And I was this is why whenever I hear anyone that says I don't have time to make YouTube videos, I can't do YouTube videos, I always kind of laugh, because I was making 4 videos a week while working my day job. So I was like working a 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, and filming and uploading 4 YouTube videos every single week for years. And then in 2014, I started my clothing line. So I was doing all of that. And so now if anyone says that, I was like, if I can do it, you can do it, like 100%, because and now it's funny because now if you fast forward, I'm making 1 to 2 videos a week and I work for myself. So you'd think I'd have more time, but now I have even less time. And now the videos require more time than they did.
Right.
It's like a whole balancing act.
Man, your story is fascinating, man, because, and I just got to go back to, I think we just ran over it just that quick. We just washed right over what you said earlier, because I'm dealing with this right now. Max, I have a 21-year-old son. I have, a 27-year-old boy and a 23-year-old daughter. And when you're talking through this, it sounds like conversation I've had with them. Like, who gives a damn about what people feel about you or how they think about you? Yeah. Because if you're passionate about something, you go fucking do it. Like 100%. This is, and knock it out the park on whatever it is. And all the criticism, and you and I have had this, Ben and I have had this conversation in the past. When you start getting criticism, that means you're kind of making it.
Yeah. Yeah. It means you're doing something right.
You're doing something 100%. Right, man. So, man, I really appreciate you telling that story.
Yeah. And I had a lot of people, even, again, there wasn't like an end goal. Like, if there wasn't I want to be where I'm at now when I started making videos. It was just, I like making content. And I had a girlfriend at the time, and she would always ask me, she's like, what's the point of what you're doing? Like, not like in a negative way, but she's like, what is your goal? Like, why are you doing all this? And I just said, I remember very specifically, I was like, I don't know what the end goal is, but I think that this is the path how I get there. And I didn't have an answer for myself. So there wasn't like a clear cut path. And, you know, now I've been making videos for over 8 years now consistently. I think I've maybe missed 1 week of uploading. I've always uploaded anywhere from 1 to 4 videos a week, depending on what era of my life I've been in. And I mean, I still love it. It's very different than it was, but it's just a journey, man, for sure.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about something about the beginning, but I want people to recognize and understand, if you're listening to this and you're not really sure what this whole YouTube, because there are people listening to this that aren't super, you know, well, they don't know the whole vlogging YouTube world. It takes a lot of time and energy and effort to make one video.
It does.
And you are making 4 every week for year after year after year. I want people to understand how difficult
for
how
years,
much time that takes.
Yeah, for years I uploaded 4 videos. I would upload Monday and Tuesday in the morning, Thursday in the afternoon, and then a Sunday. And every Sunday would be eventually it became this thing called full day of eating, where I would just film what I ate the entire day. People loved it. I made like 100 of them. Now I can't, now those ones are kind of dead. But then I went through a phase where I uploaded every other day. And then I went through a phase was every 3rd day. And then now I'm kind of to the point where I try to make sure, I guarantee unless I don't, at least 1 video, but I try to put out 2. I'm usually pretty good at putting out 2, but life's just kind of getting crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that YouTube is a very difficult platform to gain traction on, especially now because, you know, it's just the more it's saturated, right? And the vlog, everything always, people always say that, you know, my life's not interesting. I don't have anything to film. Why are people going to care? And again, that's where it comes into, you know, I wasn't like vlogging because I wanted to be a vlogger. I was just documenting everything that I was doing. I was, you know, trying to come up, and, you know, it's about taking things that aren't interesting and making them as interesting as possible. And at the end of the day, I think people think that everyone wants these really lavish lives, and like, I don't do anything crazy, but people want relatability. If I was to upload a video tomorrow that said, you know, snowboarding down the Swiss Alps, or, you know, heli skiing or something, right, that it would get such lower views than if I just made some video around my house. Like, people would like it better because with YouTube, it's kind of this game of, you want to be relatable, but you don't want to be too relatable. And you want to do, you know, extravagant things, but you don't want to do too extravagant, because then you're not relatable. But if you're too relatable, then you're boring. So it's like you're dancing this line. and that's why, but again, people, they start it and they find how difficult it is, and they give up, and they're like, oh, it just never took off. And then I'm like, look at me. I've uploaded over like 1,100 YouTube videos. Like over 1,000 videos easily. Like, I think it's like 1,100 right now. And I've been doing it week over week over week for years.
Well,
I'm still doing it.
It's a mentality shift, right? The people who quit, I would argue, maybe they're going about it saying the end goal has to be this for it to be a success.
100%, because now people are seeing people had this overnight success, and I see it all the time. I know the generation of, let's just say in the fitness world, I know the generation of fitness personalities, influencers, if you will, before my YouTube era kind of came in. And now, being in this game for so long, now I see the next generation of the people like us, and it's like the TikTok fitness kind of world. And these people are, you know, 1 year in, starting to make $20,000, $30,000 a month, right? But, you know, I was making $200 to $300 a month for years. And now people are starting to do it because they want this level of fame, they want this level of notoriety or money. And if they don't achieve it super fast, then they're pissed. And they're making content to make money rather than doing it because I feel like they love it like I did. It's just a different mentality. You know, you can't hate the game because now I wouldn't call it easier, but it's different.
Right.
And but what I'm super fortunate about is that I've built such a loyal and supportive community over the years. There's people that have been riding with me since day one who remember things from like we call it my trap house days, where I lived with a whole bunch of roommates in this really crappy apartment. And like, that was where I started making videos. And I have people that like make references to that and who have just been watching me for years and years and years. And I've just built this community, which is amazing, you know? And now, to be honest, I don't really make content. I don't make content to try to grow my audience, really. I make content for people who already watch me. That's the easiest way I do it. Because I talk to the people in my YouTube videos. There's like a style of videos that are just anyone could watch it and then watch this video. My videos are, if you don't really kind of like normally watch me, you'll have no idea what's going on, because the things that I'm referencing, I'm talking about 3 videos ago. Do you remember when I did this like last month? Like everything is like referencing another point in my life that if you just stumbled onto my videos, you'd be like, I don't know what I'm watching. Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. When you first started out, how much planning went into what you were going to vlog? How much time did you sit down and say, okay, and you mentioned you started on you did like a Monday, Tuesday, you did 4 days a week, right? Did you plan this out?
It was just, at the time, I loved making content. It was all I wanted to do was film YouTube videos. And then it was, you just got to film your workouts. So you would just film me in the gym. I'd set the camera up a whole bunch of times, and then I'd talk over like, hey, today we did shoulders. I did 5 sets of 6. I tried to do the 70 pounds, but I could only go to 65. Then I did a drop set. You literally walk through your workout and it'd be like 6 minutes. And then you started dabbling of, hey, I'm going to film a minute before I go in the gym. Here's me in my car talking about like me drinking my pre-workout, and I'm just talking about what I'm going to work out. And then after, and then it started throwing in like after the gym, hey, let me show you guys what I eat. Really the whole, I started finding fascination with like the whole vlogging thing, because I remember I was watching someone who made all fitness channels or fitness videos, and he did a clip one time. This is a guy named Matt Ogus, and he was like, I don't know why people want to know this, but for some reason people really want to know like the shampoo I use. So here, like, he went in his bathroom, he was like filming this, and I was like, hey, I use that shampoo, and it was like relatable. It was like something, I was like, a normal life thing was what people wanted to see, right? And I always think to it, I always think back to it now to answer your question about, I don't know if I still have the ability to just pick up my camera and vlog like I used to. Like it's almost like it's left my wheelhouse of tricks where I could just pick it up and I'll just film. Now everything is like thought out, and it's not really like scripted, but I understand what I want to say. I understand the clip that I'm filming. I need to end it in a certain way because I know the next clip that I'm going to film. Okay, I'm going to be at the bank, so I need to make sure I get drone shots for the bank. But I want this clip's going to go after, but I can really film this bank scene. It doesn't have to be before the next thing I'm doing because there's no time understanding in the video. So I can actually film that later in my day, but put it as if I went there, so I can structure my video how I want the video to flow, and I can do I do a lot of things out of order. Or if the end of my video, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna fall on my bed and wrap the video up, and it's me obviously after I showered, so I'm wearing different clothes. In my head, I'm like, if I film a whole video on Tuesday, I can really film that, all right, guys, I'm going to bed thing on Wednesday night, and it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter because no one needs to know that it's a different day, because I just try to make these videos have like a structure to them, right? Which might take away from the normalness, but I don't think I can just pick it up and first take every single thing. Right. It's a weird dynamic. I've been doing it for so long. I'm like a robotic with it.
And that's the thing. Like you're watching your videos are 15 minutes long, whatever. You don't realize how much of this thought goes into it. It's fascinating.
100%. I mean, a lot of times when you film, let's say like a bunch of portions of video, you start thinking when you're really in this YouTube mind, you're like, okay, how much more content do I need to finish this video? And you just have a ballpark of how much you filmed. You understand the content that it was. You're like, okay, I just showed my lunch, so I can't just straight go into more food because that's too much food in the video to go from lunch to straight dinner. And you start planning all this out, and you start thinking of like, how much more content do I need for this video? And then you might be like, oh, I just need to film 4 more minutes, and that's the rest of the video. But it's like, no. I can't have a 4-minute clip. I need to have 12 30-second clips because I don't want people to be boring in one environment. And if I talk about this, I'm going to talk about a portion of it in my house. And then I want the next portion of it to be in the car. And then it's me getting out of the car. So it feel like it flows. So you're not just watching, like, I watch a lot of people's YouTube videos and I analyze and I look at people who I can tell when I watch someone on YouTube, if they have a thought conscious, or if they were conscious about how they were filming that video. I can just tell if someone knows what they're doing.
I mean, you're like a director, like you're like a self-made director.
I can tell when some people make videos and the whole video is like 4 clips and it's just me talking here, me talking here, and then 2 more spots. I'm like, there was no creativity in this whole video. Like, I'm like, you could have done this. You could have had breaks. I like to do B-roll with the drone because it breaks up the flow of the video, and then you can mix in things. And again, people get mad about clickbait titles and thumbnails, but whenever they get mad, which is, if you don't understand, it's like misleading someone on the title or kind of, exaggerating the truth. But when you've made 1,000 videos about what you do every day, it's like you try to make 1,000 different titles for your life. It's hard. You just, a lot of my videos, it's a million things crammed into one. That's why my channel isn't really like you don't know what my videos are about, because each video, I'm not going to review a camera for the entire video. If I want to talk, like, I think tomorrow I'm actually filming a video about my thoughts about credit cards and my thoughts on debit cards versus credit cards, but I'm not going to make the entire video and title it like my opinion on credit cards and make the entire video about that. I'm going to vlog, and then just certain points in my video, I'm going to touch on my thoughts on it and then put it into creative ways that make sense and people can understand it better. But it's also going to sprinkle in things in the gym that have nothing to do with credit cards or my meals, but it'll just, like, because I feel like I want everyone to click on my video and have no idea what they're going to get into, but they know that they're going to get a lot of just entertainment. Yeah. And it's not, because people who make specific title videos, if you see my thoughts on credit cards, if you don't care about credit cards, you're not going to click on that video. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. But if I make it like my title will be, I don't know, my super secret to get rich, or like everyone has to do this, It's these, I hate it. If there's one thing that every YouTuber can relate to, it's when you finish the video and you have to make the title and the thumbnail. It is the worst thing ever. If I can make my videos vlog number 1002 and just have a black screen, I would love that. I would love it. But I have to trick my own people to click on the videos.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. The algorithm does not want a black screen with a volume 1200.
I really wish I could. I really wish I could do that.
I do want to go back to, you mentioned the first 3 years, because I would say the most common DM that we get, especially now, and it's a common theme that you hear all over, is, hey, I don't love my job today. I want to chase something else. I want to pursue something else. Right. So I want to know, for you, those first 3 years, you weren't making much money. You were still in IT. When did you know that you had something that you could do full? Like, what was the moment, or maybe there wasn't just one moment, but so what led you into wanting to do this full time?
My journey and my career was it was quite interesting, because the first job I got out of college as an IT recruiter, I'll try to make the story not super long, but I got fired from my first job because of YouTube, and I almost quit making videos because I was like, why would I put my career on the line for YouTube? Long story short is, they found out that I made YouTube videos. All my videos used to be a lot more vulgar. I used to just say it was F-bombs every 10 seconds because that's just how I talked. Yeah. And they didn't like it. And they basically found a way to fire me because something I did related to the work, and they fired me for it. Right.
Did they give you a warning? Did they give you a heads up? Hey man, we're watching your videos.
Essentially, I'll sum it up. Basically, I remember how I mentioned I make these full day of eating videos, right? And I would just film everything I eat. There was a clip that I filmed with my phone. I set it on my desk, and keep in mind, it's just me in a button down, a white wall behind me. You have no idea where I'm at. This is in the middle of a video, about, let's say, 6 minutes into a video. And in this clip, I take a sip of a Diet Coke and I eat a gummy worm. It's like 6 seconds. Okay. About 2 weeks later, I get called in because we found out that you're filming at work. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this is a 2-week-old video in the middle of a video for 7 seconds. How would you find this? and technically now in my head, I'd be like, prove that was here. Like, it's not like, there's nothing it was a white wall, but they were like, you can't film at the office. It's against our procedures. Nowadays people can Instagram and Snapchat all over the place, but they gave me this warning, and I was like, okay, absolutely. I'll take the video down. I'll never film again in the video in the office. I understand. And then they said, just as a heads up, like, you might want to clean up your language on there. We'd hate for, an opportunity to come up and someone looks you up and that's what they see and that's what they perceive you as, is like this vulgar person. I was like, okay, I understand. And so I started cleaning my language up. But then 2 weeks later, I got called in and fired because of an older video than that one. About a month ago, I was talking about at my house, my thoughts about alcohol and the gym and if you can drink and lift. And in the middle of the video, keep in mind, I'm using a literal potato to film this. This is like a camcorder. And absent-mindedly, I grab like my ID badge and I'm just like spinning it in my hand while I'm talking for like 30 seconds. And again, you cannot make out what's on there. They fired me. I thought my life was over. I thought I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do. And then like, luckily my mom is also in IT staffing. And about a week later, she knew someone at right down the street, another staffing agency, got it. But it was actually a pivotal point for me because it really made me change, because I did go through a point. I was like, why would I keep making videos? I'm not making any money. This is just a dumb hobby. I need to focus on my future. But I was like, I just love making videos, but it made me clean up my content. It made me realize that you can't just, it basically made me clean up my content, which is great. Like, I stopped saying the F-bomb on my videos really. And I just went a new direction, and I just was very more conscious about what I filmed. And then flash forward, everything kept growing. And it was really about 2 years in that I considered leaving my job. But for a while, it's like you go through this mindset of like, what if it fails, right? Or whatever money I was making. I mean, keep in mind, I was making entry level, maybe $40,000 at my job. And I thought, well, if I quit, then I'm going to make $40,000 less a year. Yeah. And so I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And for an entire year, I tracked my income on a little notes pad in my phone. And I just tracked my monthly income between my clothing brand. That's what I started. And that's where the bulk of my money came from, or at least it was coming in. I didn't take any money out of that, but then I was just making enough. And for a whole year I tracked it. And I think I was making maybe by year two. No, I guess this was, like middle into year two with the clothing brand and everything, maybe like $7,000 to $8,000 a month. And for a whole year, I tracked that, and I made sure that I could consistently make that. And then it wasn't until it was July of 2016 was when I finally was like, I think I can do this. I think I can do it full time, because I feel like I'm missing out on opportunities to keep growing by traveling and, collaborating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, could you see yourself living in that commercial, that world again? Can you go back to that corporate America world?
I will never go back to that. And what's great is I'm actually very fortunate that I don't regret going to college. I think it changed who I was as a person. It's how I found fitness. It was a great social learning experience for me. And then the corporate thing really helped me with, now that it wasn't until recently that I've started getting a lot of employees. I started with one about 2 years ago, and she's still with me, and she's like my right hand on everything. And it wasn't until recent, over the past year, I would say, that I started, now we have like 6 full-time employees, probably 15 full-time like warehouse workers. I mean, I have a lot. And what I always think back to now is, because keep in mind, like, I have no idea. Getting into it, I didn't know how to be a leader. I didn't know how to be a boss. I didn't know how to I just wanted people to help me do what I'm doing, right? But I use my time with corporate to make sure that their experience working for me or working with me is never that experience of, I can't wait till I get out of this office today. I can't wait till I have to be here type of thing. I want to make sure that they are enjoying their time. Their schedules are flexible. We're getting work done. It's a fun environment, that you have a cool place to work. And I want you to be excited to come every day. And I always think back to everything that I disliked about management and the corporate world. I want to make sure I didn't have that experience with my employees.
Yeah. I want to take another quick break. And speaking of breaks, I want to thank our sponsor, Sleep Number, who gives you the best break of every single day of your life, which is sleep. And what they're doing with their technology and their mattresses is second to none. They have taken the mattress game and put it on steroids.
Yeah.
They check your heart rate, your circadian rhythm. They're doing all these different things to test you while you're sleeping to make sure that it's custom and that every single night is the most restorative, restful sleep that you're ever going to get.
It's no accident that Sleep Number is the official sleep partner of the NFL. And because NFL athletes are at the top when it comes to recovery, when it comes to taking care of your body, and nothing is more important than sleep. We've talked about it on the show multiple times, making sure you take care of your sleep. And there's a reason that Dak Prescott sleeps on one every single night. And there's a reason that his career has blossomed the way that it has. So make sure either you go online, sleepnumber.com, you go into a local store, they're going to walk you through it. You're going to experience the entire process of understanding what your sleep score is or what your sleep number is, and then ultimately showing you how to achieve the highest sleep score, because that's what's important is how you actually sleep and how you recover so that you can tackle the day with everything that you have.
Yeah, it's a VIP experience that we're all looking for.
That's
so
right.
That's sleepnumber.com. Like Tyler said, go get yourself to a local store and get yourself that VIP experience. Now back to the episode. Yeah, the weird thing is you may or may not think about this, but those people are putting their trust in you, right?
100%.
As their leader. That this is their livelihood, right? To work for you. And so the type of leader that you are has everything to do with how they live their life.
And it's crazy because that's why when I say like, oh, today is let's say a lot of times I just kind of film throughout my day, throughout the week, and I make a video together. But some days, like tomorrow, for example, I'm going to kind of take most of my day to go film a video because it's very much a important thing in my kind of world. Right. But I always feel weird because I know a lot of my employees probably watch my videos and they like, my boss is like, isn't working at the office because he's running around like doing the dumb things that I do on camera of like whatever stupid content that I make. And I'm like, no, it's just all part of the master plan that grows everything. But no, it really is a wild feeling that people are putting their trust into me. And the girl that I mentioned that is like my right hand who has helped me build everything, her name is Mona. And she actually, when I moved from Virginia, she was extremely part-time with me. She just kind of happened to be around the gym that I owned, and she started helping me pack orders. She was just like, I was like, you want to help pack orders? I can pay you some money and help me pack clothing. And then when it was time to move, I told her, I was like, if you want to move with me, like you can, but I was like, I can't offer you a lot of money because the businesses weren't really taking off at the time. I didn't know if I didn't have enough work for her, but but she put her faith in me and she was open to moving and going to a new location. Wow. I think she was kind of used to just kind of, moving states, and she moved with me. And when she started, she was making very little money with me. She could tell me she wasn't making a lot with me because I couldn't justify paying someone an exorbitant amount of money. Cause I was like, I could just hire someone when I get to Texas. If you want to come, I'll give you a job, but I can only pay you X. Right. And she just moved here, and I think she would agree that it was the best decision she ever made. She's not only such an important person in my life and in my business. She helps me run everything. She has become best friends with our entire circle. She has a whole squad of people. And I was worried when she moved. I was like, what if she doesn't get along with like the core people that I knew down here? Now she's the guy that I moved down here to start businesses with. His name is Christian, and his girlfriend, now her and his girlfriend are like best friends, and it just like really worked out. So she loves it here, but that was she moved across the country to take a risk of maybe this business takes off. And then it wasn't until, a year or so being here that's when I started the sour strips thing. And, then it just continued to explode. And
talk to us about that. So you started EverForward. What year was EverForward?
I believe it was like August 2014. So late 2014.
So early on in your YouTube, why not just make YouTube videos and make money that way? Why did you start that brand?
It was, to be honest, it was just a thing that you did as a fitness influencer. You created like merch, like t-shirts. And usually what people did is they would just put their name and then fitness, right? So it'd be like, let's just say Maxx Fitness or something. And you would just make these t-shirts and people would buy it because they wanted to support you. I made this thing, again, I was very well known for my deadlift, and people called me the deadlift bra. and I made these t-shirts that was a silhouette of me deadlifting, and it said deadlift bra on the shirt. And I sold a bunch of them, right? And then I got to a point where I was like, I kind of want to make a clothing thing or shirts that isn't a silhouette of me. So generally you kind of think up like, okay, let me think up what the brand's called, a logo, what does it mean? And I decided on Ever Forward because Ever Forward is a phrase that it originated in like the military a long time ago, but it's a phrase that's just been in my family for a long time because it's what my dad kind of always instilled into us as children, to kind of have that always moving forward, ever forward mindset. And a lot of my family members have it tattooed on them. And it's just a really powerful 2 words that is a huge thing in my family. So I was like, okay, well, instead of trying to think up a brand, why don't I call it something that this, and I'd say, here's why it's called this, and here's what it means. It was a message that kind of like pays homage to my late father, and people just really, really resonated with it. And it started as a couple t-shirts, I tried making like 100 like little, almost like Under Armour type of shirts. I was like, instead of doing screen printed, I wanted to go overseas and have custom little hang tags and custom packaging. And I wanted to kind of step it up a little bit because a lot of people weren't doing that. They were just doing screen printed shirts. And I was like, how can I kind of step it up a little bit? And then it started and it kind of flourished, and it's been growing ever since. And it kind of had to take a little bit of a I don't want to say back. It took a little backseat in my mind when sour strips started exploding because I could only do so much. Yeah. And I kind of needed to put the brakes a little bit on the clothing so I could focus on this candy that I knew it just had tremendous success. And now we're getting back in the groove with our clothing and trying to figure out how I balance both these brands. Yeah. And it evolved from a gym t-shirt. And now I make things that I love, like button down shirts and dress belts and dress socks, and we're coming out with like stretch chinos, and it's more of like I wanted to wear something that guys, because I realized in the fitness space none of these guys know how to dress when they go out in the town. Like they're wearing these like gym tees and all this stuff, and
shorts. Yep.
Yeah, you're talking to one over here.
and I was from East Coast, and I had this kind of East Coast. I never was in a frat, but there's kind of just East Coast style where it's like I would dress up, in a button down tucked in with boots and stuff to go to work every day. And people thought it was like the most fashion forward thing in the world on my YouTube. And I was like, no, guys, this is just normal over in the East Coast. Like, this is what people wear. They wear polos and wear button downs. So it just like, then I was able to make these things that I love, that I could tweak some stuff about them and help all the guys not look like slobs when they go out. So, and now again, we're balancing it with the candy, which has kind of consumed my world.
Well, and that's what I'm sitting here wondering. I get it, YouTube vlog because you enjoy fitness, and then Ever Forward because it kind of ties into the fitness, the whole fitness thing. But then you decide, hey, I'm not busy enough. I'm going to start a candy company. Where the hell does candy come into play?
Yeah, that was my next question. How did that roll into this?
There's a reason for it all. First of all, I've been a diehard candy fan my entire life. Like my mom, my dad would have told you. I mean, I was just the next door to the coffee shop is a 7-Eleven, and I would always go get the huge like Fun Dip packets, and I would eat that. And I just been obsessed with sour candy and candy my entire life, right? So that's just always been something I've been obsessed with. To this day, I mean, clearly. Yeah,
you mentioned sour straws earlier into this conversation. Yeah.
I think I did a Q&A on my Instagram, and someone said like, why candy? And I showed a picture that it was a giant like Tupperware thing that my mom put together for me moving down to college. And it was like ramen, Easy Mac, and then it was a 24 pack of sour straws. Like that was in there. It was a staple in my diet. Like I just loved candy. Still love candy. And then I guess it was always like a cool thing maybe, but it wasn't until my buddy Christian, who's a really just huge fitness icon in the same YouTube space, and he's done amazing things for the whole fitness community. And he started an energy drink company called 3D. And because he was just the guy, he put like everyone on YouTube. He started going to the gas stations and getting those like white monsters, like the ultra monsters. So super delicious, right? Well, he started just in his videos, he just started like drinking these things on his camera. And it really does influence you, because he was like, oh, these things are so good. It's the next time you're at the store, you're like, I watch this guy on YouTube. I want to try this, see if it's good. Oh, it's really good. And he kind of became he loves energy drinks guy, like, right? So then he started this energy drink company because he knew what he liked, whether it be the carbonation, you know, the design, whatever. And that really was the motivation for me. And I was like, well, if he can do that, like, I think I can do something. And I was like, I think I could start a candy company. And I went down this journey. And at first I'm doing some real estate and investing with a couple of these guys, my business partners, right? And when I originally wanted to start the candy brand, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just make t-shirts and make YouTube videos. Why don't I get some business partners and you guys do all the business side of things, whether it be the manufacturing, you retail, whatever, and I'll just be the face of the brand. You guys can be like the silent investors. We'll all split it, you know, into threes. And we tried for like 6 months and we just never got traction. It was just difficult to find a manufacturer, a good one. And it never took off, right? So then right when I moved, that was right before I moved from Virginia to Texas, which is about 3 years ago. And then about 6 months went by and I kind of just closeted the whole idea. I was like, it can't, you know, this is the reason why people don't come out with brands or candy, because it's just hard. Right.
Yeah.
So then one day I was in my office really late and I was like, I think I can do this. I think I can figure this out. And I just kept researching, calling a whole bunch of different manufacturers I would find on Google of like, you know, do you make candy? Do you make candy? Can you make this candy? And then I finally landed with a good manufacturer. So I was like, okay, I figured out how to get candy. And then it just started unfolding because I started thinking of sour strips. I randomly thought of the name because I was like, okay, what am I going to, it wasn't until I found the manufacturer that then I decided, oh crap, what should I call it? Right. Mm-hmm. And because everyone had, you know, there's like trolley and all these different things. And I was like, okay, do you need a parent company? And then sour strips just kind of popped in because I originally was going to make a candy called Strips. It was just gonna be Strips with like a Z or something. And I was going to call it like, you know, Sour Strips with a Z because it was like, but sour was just like what it was, a sour candy, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't the name of the brand. And then I randomly thought of the sour strips. I was like, wow, that's super simple. That's super like rolls off the tongue kind of thing. Easy to remember. And then I was in my office and I went on my phone and I looked on Instagram and no one had sour strips, the handle. And then I went to GoDaddy and then I went and no one had sourstrips.com. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is the name. Like this is the name. And my goal with the name was something that people could remember super easily. And sour strips is a generic name. It's a generic term, right? They're literally sour strips. But what I wanted to do was, my analogy is always like, if one of you were told your friend to pick you up some Frosted Flakes from the store, right? And they brought back, let's say, the store brand or something, you'd be like, no. Like, I said Frosted Flakes, right, but those ones are also called Frosted Flakes, right? Mm-hmm. Just a store brand because they're literally Frosted Flakes. Kellogg's has created this brand that people know Frosted Flakes is this just because they're just Frosted Flakes. So I was like, what if you took this generic name and made it like the brand, like Sour Strips is what the candy is, but it's also the brand. Right. Like that's the brand. And then me and my roommate decided to make some packaging, and he was like, hey, you should put like little angry fruit characters on there. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So we went through a whole design process with websites to try to find little angry fruit characters. And the way we designed the bag was, I like to think that I'm an expert on sour candy. I've had every sour candy on the planet. I've had it. I know what the brands look like. Every time I go in the store, I know what all the brands look like. So I wanted to create something that would stand out to me as someone who's obsessed with it, because I knew that if I could make something that I would like as a candy connoisseur, then everyone else would also enjoy it as well.
Yeah. I think it just speaks to, you know, what we talk about on this show and what we talked about with past guests is just, you may not have all the answers. You probably don't have any answers, but
hell no.
But you're passionate about something and you just go. You just take the first step and you just go.
You really do. And I think everyone like thinks, and again, I originally almost had 2 other business partners. I own 100% of Sour Strips now, but when I started, I thought that I couldn't do a lot of things that I didn't even know what I couldn't do yet. Right. I was just like, there's no way I can do this. Absolutely not. And you just learn. And then, you know, we started online, and then when you go into retail, it's this whole other ball game of creating vendor accounts and inputting in their systems. And I just learned it. I just learned how to do it. And I'm really would have been a lot easier if I had someone who was like, here's exactly how you do this. Here's exactly how you do this. Yes. And I had a lot of people who were also in the space who are business partners in some other consumer packaged goods who were saying that, oh, you get it made for this, that there's no way that's going to work because you need to get it at this price because distributors aren't going to buy it at that. And when you go into retail, like it almost like, I wouldn't say he's scare tacticking me. He was just saying like all these things that were like, there's no way that it's going to work the way that you're doing it. And I was just like, well, we'll see. We'll see. And because again, you're creating a candy brand that's a premium price, right? It's priced higher than every other candy that it's next to. And a lot of people were like, there's no way that's going to work. Like candy needs to be $1.50. And my mindset behind this was if someone who really likes sour candy finds this and realizes how good this is, I think because I would do it, I would pay an extra $1 to have a better candy, even though it's more expensive. And I was like, and because I couldn't compete on price, how are you going to compete with these billion-dollar conglomerates on price that you can't? Yeah. So that was never the goal. And it's just been a wild ride.
You're going to underprice yourself out of business. Yeah.
No, you will. And if I had done that, we wouldn't have been able to grow at the level that we're at, especially now that we're in retail, and retail just sucks cash out of you so much.
Yeah. And then you throw the whole wrinkle, which we won't get into, but the whole wrinkle of, inflation and supply chain issues. And I'm sure you're just
all my costs
swimming
through the roof. Through the roof.
Man, I love your story. I mean, I think this is although most of us probably aren't going to start vlogging or start a candy company, there's so many takeaways from your journey and from your story that I think anybody listening to this can apply to whatever it is they're doing. And
I like to whenever people look at the candy thing, and they always say, if you, let's say the candy or the clothing, they say like, do you think would it had this much success if you didn't have the following? And the answer is no. Like I wouldn't have been able to springboard it as much as I did, but I was like, I've put in the work over the years to get me to the point that I've had this. And what I like to show people is that if you really go back on my channel, or if you've been watching me, you see the natural progression in my life. It wasn't, I picked up the camera and I already owned this house and I already had this candy brand or have a nice office. It's you saw me swatting fruit flies in my crappy apartment, like while making videos. Then you saw me move in for the first time into my own 1-bedroom apartment. Then you saw me sell my crappy car that I was fixing the air conditioning in on a video. Finally, I got a nice newer Grand Cherokee, like a used one. Like you see this progression. It wasn't just like overnight I had this success. Yeah, I've been working my ass off for 8 years, and I think a lot of people look at something like this like, oh, he can make this money or do this because he has all these followers. I was like, no, I'm able to do this now because I put in 8 years of work.
Yeah, you did.
And that's the point.
That is the key.
That's the key right there, because yes, you're exactly right. If somebody just stumbles across you today that never heard of you before, they see this big following, they see these massive successful companies. But to your point, nobody is an overnight success. There was groundwork laid. Even Darren was handed a big contract at 21 years old, getting drafted in the NFL. Yeah. But he'd been running sprints since he was 7 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes, it looks like an overnight success. It looks like Max, he can, whatever he does, it turns into gold. But it's because you were grinding and made 4 videos a week since 2011, 2012.
Yeah. And I love the fact what you said earlier, man, the fact that, you were putting out, building content for those that are already following your own community. I mean, your own group, that old ecosystem that you had, you were making product for them, that you were, busting your ass, getting up early, doing all the things you needed to do to put that product out. And now it's the fruits of your labor, man. And I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud for you to, it's a great story.
That.
Yeah. It's a great story.
It's still super interesting now that, especially do you have employees, because ideally you hire people to delegate tasks so you can either focus on bigger things or that it frees up your time. Like I'm paying to get my time back so I don't have to do all these things. And it's quite interesting to just now I'm able to relax a little bit more. I mean, I'm still very full gas on everything that I'm doing, but I have the ability to kind of chill because I know certain areas of the business are being taken care of by people that I trust.
Right.
And that hiring people was like the biggest scare for me because, you know, you're afraid to give up these portions of your business.
Yeah.
And it's just been a wild ride. And I think anyone who looks at my journey, just understand how much I've put into it, and just know that I never started making content to be able to get a whole bunch of followers, to do all this, because you can see it. If I did, I truly feel that I could quit YouTube today, and especially with Sour Strips, I could continue that success on and not have to make videos anymore. But I feel like almost like a duty to people that has been with me for so long. I'm like our story's not over. Like we've achieved a lot of things in our life. And I think that there's still a lot more that I can show people in my journey to like what you can do if you continue on this path of just believing in yourself. And it's really cool.
Well, yeah, now you're hitting people with the journey of growing and making a successful business, right? Maybe it's not as, it's still fitness, right? You're still doing those things, but there's a market out there for people who are just interested in people that are taking a chance in being an entrepreneur. And I think you can really, show what that process, show the behind the scenes of what that looks like.
A lot of people, you'll get comments that'll say, wow, your content is so bad now, or like you've changed a lot. It's like, well, back in the day, the only thing I had to focus about was how much weight I can lift in the gym and film it. Like that's all I had to think about. Now my videos, maybe 10% of my video has fitness in it. And a lot of people, you'll see some comments that are like, wow, all these videos now are just promoting his own brands or growing. And I was like, no, it's just, this is what, like, I'm vlogging my life, and now my life is building these businesses. And, if anything, I'm like, clearly, if you look at my views, people I think are enjoying this just as much, if not more than anything I've ever created, because it's still very consistent. And I think you can document your journey of building businesses without just like, I don't talk about my distribution struggles to try to get you to buy more candy. I'm telling you so that when you become a business, like I'm telling you all the struggles that I've gone with. People saw me when I was looking at warehouses. How big of a warehouse do I get? Here's the costs of the warehouse. Here's how much, this cost and this cost. And I try to be very transparent with costs on things and how much money it takes to start a business, run a business. And it's
or the fact
you can't please everyone,
or the fact that you hit the snooze button like 4 or 5 times in the morning, that kind of shit. You know what I'm talking? Like real shit.
It's a whole topic because I have friends that are very like grind 24/7. Like my friend Christian that I talk about is one of just the most motivational people I've ever met in my entire life. He's truly the things that he's built and I've seen it. He has gone days without sleeping and is getting up at 3 a.m. to go to the office to work. I mean, he's like a machine. But on another aspect is I don't really want that life. Like I don't want that life. And there's certain times, that like tonight, like I may for an hour or two, I'll probably stream. So it feels like working to me, but I'll, whether I play a video game or something. And there's always that mindset of like, could you be doing something to better your business instead of watching a Netflix show or something? But I think it's like, what's the point if you can't enjoy your time? And I enjoy relaxing. And, on Sundays, I truly take like the day off. Like I am a waste of space on the couch. And like, could I be at the office planning out the next year? Yeah, but I'm fine with the life that I decided, the pace that I'm going at, and I don't think it's an enjoyable ride for me if I was just literally every second of every day all I cared about is work and nothing else. Because what's the point? Like, what are we doing it for?
Right, and that ties into what we were talking about earlier. You've taken the box, you've punted that box, and you've created and you've charted your own path. And that's just what it doesn't matter how you get there. We all have our own method. We all have our own strategies and way we go about it. And you've done that, and it's been a fun story. So people can find you on YouTube. We talked about your YouTube quite a bit. It's Maxx Chewning. That's XX Maxx.
Yep.
Chewning.
I have the same handles on everything. Except
YouTube.
for Twitch, which I feel like someone stole from me. But
and then Sour Strips. Actually, these were very hard to find. Actually, we went to a couple different Targets, That's how popular they are. They keep getting sold out everywhere. So
it's a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm sure it creates some headaches as well. So that's Sour Strips and then Ever Forward as well, the fashion line. So go check out Maxx. Maxx, thank you so much for your time, man. We had a lot of fun and really appreciate your story.
Absolutely. I hope you guys didn't mind all my ramblings when I
this is
talked
good.
about stuff.
You were awesome, Max. We appreciate you, man. Thanks again, brother.
Awesome. Until next time, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate you.